Yes, it is. It is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub, exclusive to the Listener app, of course. And we are back bigger and better than ever for another year. Looking forward to season 2022. Kicks off tonight between the grand finalists of last year, the Bulldogs and the D's. And we have the same crew as last year. Looking forward to working with this team once again in 2022. Duck, welcome.
G'day, gentlemen. Good to be back. All of us, about a month ago, Daisy, you're sitting around thinking, we've still got a month before the season. Then it just goes pop, and here we are. Can't wait.
Creeps up really quick. Damien Barrett, the best in the business. Thanks for joining us again, Damo.
G'day, Joey, and a great way to start the season, isn't it, with the combatants out of last year's grand final, but not just that, starting on a Wednesday for the midweek rub purposes.
Do you think that will become regular?
Yeah,
I love it.
I can see it. I can see it being a grand final rematch. Whoever it is, and
Round
if
one
it's
every
GWS or Gold Coast at some stage, I can see that being something that is becoming part of tradition.
I think the anticipation is as big as it's ever been, probably because it's no longer Carlton Richmond. I think we enjoyed that at the start, and then we got a little bit over that because it became, let's be honest, as we welcome Dale Thomas, it became Richmond every single year, and it sort of lost a bit of its luster.
No, it certainly did, and I was much the same. You know, the big blockbuster opener, and I think I lost 6 in a row. So, it's probably not the anticipation that a grand final rematch will bring, but excited to be back, gentlemen.
Hey, we last show we did was grand final week, and of course, we're looking back through our tips, and we'll just quickly touch on them. We all did tip Melbourne. I was the one that thought Melbourne might have, and I reckon midway through the third quarter, I was right when I thought Melbourne might have been vulnerable, but I had them winning by a point. I was the only one to have Petrarca for the Norm Smith, but Damo, you were confident that Jackson and Gawn would be too good for the Rucks, and you certainly got that one right. You had them winning by a couple of goals. Duck, you were all over it, and Daisy as well. You said Christian Salem for the Norm Smith, who had a very, very good grand final. Just quickly, first of all, where were you? Where did you watch the grand final, and just your thoughts on that, Granny?
About 30 metres away in the studio, just down the
You're working
back
here?
there. I was working here, and I tell you what, they're only one kick away from being in real trouble, Melbourne, but just showed what they showed right through the final series, and also that last time they played. They can turn goals on like no other team in the competition.
Damo, you were there live.
I was fortunate enough to be there. An amazing experience, just to even think about it. Where I was on that day last year, Joey. It was they turned it on Perth, and thankfully they did, because they saved the AFL season. And Duck couldn't get his head around it being a WA grand final, could he, for most of the season?
I'm laughing because Daisy's still trying to work out where he was.
Where were you, grand final?
I am racking my brain. I can't remember where I watched it. I remember it being a bloody good game, and I had a good time, but
Honestly?
for the life of me, I can't remember.
Well, you have had a big summer
I will
since.
assume it was at home, but
You took advantage of the Friday holiday before the granny, by the sounds
I think
of
you're
it.
meant to be at home, weren't you? I think the protocols were requiring Melburnians
we
to
will
be at
go
home.
with that then.
When I asked that, I just realised too. I was like, I snuck over to a mate's house. And
No,
there
you
were four
didn't,
of us.
Joe.
No,
You didn't.
I was
No, you
home.
didn't.
I was home. I watched it by myself on the couch.
Yeah.
Of course I did. Speaking of the summer, we need to touch on your summer,
Okay,
Daisy, because
yes.
anyone who's followed you on social media, boy oh boy, have you had some sort of summer? Just give us a little snapshot of what you've done.
Well, it was a pretty good one. I got to go over on behalf of a company I work for, PointsBet, take a couple of clients over to the States and sat courtside, watched the Nuggets v the Knicks, and then went to the Phoenix Waste Management Open on the party hole on the 17th.
Oh, you went to the party hole?
Sat there.
How was that? What was that like?
That was... The courtside NBA was the best sporting experience I'd ever been to, and then that got topped on the Thursday by being at the Waste Management. It was the Friday, sorry. Unfortunately, we didn't see the hole-in-one where everyone went berserk, but after watching a summer of cricket, or the start of the summer of cricket, where blokes were getting kicked out of places for sculling one mid-strength, and then to see the antics on that hole, it was unbelievable, and then just finish it off with a trip to the Super Bowl.
As you do.
Yeah.
As you do. And did that top it all? Was the Super Bowl the best experience, or no?
For me, probably the party hole was, but the halftime show and the whole week, it was a proper bucket list thing. I ticked about 3 and 4 off in the week. So
On someone else's coin.
on
too.
someone else's coin, and I'm still recovering. I'm bloody brain farting already, and it's only week 1.
Hey, big show coming up, because we'll always get Damo. We'll get some breaking news from you, and take a look at some bigger picture news for the year. We're going to get some predictions and have a little bit of an unpopular opinion. So we're not just going to say the obvious that Melbourne and Brisbane are going to be up there. We're going to have something that not many people are saying is an opinion. And then this year, we're not going with just the duck dive. It's going to be called the Daisy Duck Dive. I want both of your opinions. Quick fire questions. You haven't had them in advance, so you don't know. And we'll have a chat about that. And of course, we'll preview the round 1 action all coming up. But this is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. As always, bringing us all the news every week, Damo.
Well, given Daisy can't remember where he was on Grand Final Day last year, it was a night game, Days, in terms of what it was into the Melbourne market. I feel, well, when I say feel, that there is very, very, very strong consideration being given as we speak to it being a twilight start time to this year. It's yet to be signed off on. It has to be discussed and thrashed out at commission level. That will happen early April at its next meeting. And I think it's line ball that it will be a twilight start. Now, just on the timings of that would be, if it was to be a twilight start, it would be a 4:30 start into Melbourne. Do the workings out on timings around the country beyond that. But the traditional time for an MCG start, Duck, has been about 2:30. It's moved either side of that over the years, but 2:30 is the generally accepted time for the day game.
Yeah, I like the 2:30 start. And I don't know about the modern day player. And let's be honest, what they've gone through the last couple of years, they adapt pretty well to any time. But that 4:30 start for me, that stinks. As a player, I would have hated to start at 4:30. It's either a night game or a day game. So and given that you're going into a grand final, you're sitting around for longer. At least if it's a night game, you know because you're playing those during the year more. So it's either night or day. How many twilight games do we have during the year?
Well, a lot of them are on the Sunday and Saturday.
So there's not
and the weakest Saturday.
So there's not
games.
A lot of twilight games, and then you're wanting two of the best teams to go in to a situation that they've hardly played in all year. Don't like it.
The consideration isn't really with the players, though, is it? And
No.
if what they like and what's best for their preparation,
They just put the show on.
Well, it's more for the AFL, what they think will be better and what makes a better spectacle.
And ultimately, your broadcaster, Duck, don't for a minute think that if it is a Twilight Grand Final, that Channel 7 won't want it to be a Twilight Grand Final. And I reckon you can say with certainty that they want it to be a Twilight.
My opinion is not to have a Twilight.
Where do you reckon it'll be this year?
Let's get that out of the way.
At this stage, it's at the MCG, Dave. And let's hope it is there.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
What about, Damo? I want to touch on the rules that are coming in. I think that the AFL have done a really good job of trying to explain it to the clubs, the fans, everyone in the media, particularly holding the ball, but the abuse towards the umpires. How do you think it'll go once the real season starts? Because it was nice of the AFL to say the players adjusted in the Amy Community Series, but let's be honest, there wasn't 4 points on the line. How do you think it'll go when the season starts?
I'm hopeful it is as it was in the Community Series game, because we had that Melbourne experiment, effectively, where they gave away 8 50s in that one game they played, and then for the remaining games of that particular weekend, it was almost non-existent, the problem. We have a different mindset, don't we? Come round one with the focus on it, and I just hope the umpires hold the line, because there's no ambiguity about how they adjudicated in that particular weekend of matches. And two, Duck, another big issue with this is the coaches are actually happy with it. Now, they don't want their players giving away 50s, obviously, but they don't want their players engaging, Days, with umpires.
What I thought was quite ironic and quite funny was Brad Scott was the one going around. There's a guy that's given more. He's given more sprays to the umpires than me, which is saying something. But he did make a little bit of fun of it. But I agree, because having played in an era where we did speak to the umpires in a way that you shouldn't. And by the way, they gave us back just as good, some of the umpires. But I agree. I think if you look around world sport, I think that the respect for the referees, umpires, whatever you want to call them, have to be at the optimum level. And it's just up to the players to bite their tongue. And you're allowed to be frustrated with yourself. Just don't direct it towards an umpire.
Adam Tomlinson laughed at the big screen and gave away 50 metres. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that's ridiculous.
So this is where it becomes down to, if you can be frustrated at yourself and the umpire takes that as being frustrated at him, though, he's then entitled to pay 50 metres.
If he's looking up at the scoreboard and laughing.
He said that you got the decision wrong, and they had a discussion. Then he looked up, watched the replay, laughed, and the umpire took that on board that he was laughing
No,
at him.
I haven't seen it. If he was laughing, if he was deliberately laughing sort of in the face of the umpire, then I think that's disrespectful.
It's such a passionate game, though, and we,
It is.
all bar Damo, but you've played at a junior level as well. You get in there, you get tackled, you get your head rinsed.
He did grow up at one point.
I don't believe it, and I won't have it for a minute. But you get your head rinsed, or someone rinses your head. You can't just be expected to get up and not say something. Like, I just don't understand that.
I still play B-grade basketball on a Wednesday and we get frustrated at
Correct.
refereeing. So I just think that there's
the
common
idea is
sense.
great.
I think the idea that it should be zero tolerance, I think that's utopia. I don't think we're actually going to think that every player is never going to get frustrated. But if there is an obvious demonstrative action, absolutely, it's a 50-metre penalty. If you swear at the umpire, 50. But let's just hopefully they have a bit of common sense when the heat of the battle.
Common sense is not that common in this industry, Joey.
The coaches like it, Joey, from the point of view that if a player under his watch is remonstrating in any form with an umpire, they're not then concentrating on
what
where
they
the
should
ball's
do.
going and what
That's
they
right.
should be doing at that point
That's
in time.
And I do think it's important whenever we have one of these rule changes, we sit there and we'll bag the decision, like you said with the Tomlinson. Let's not bag the rule change. Let's bag the player for not picking up on it as they should.
Yes.
They've learned about it all summer. They know they can't do it, so don't bag the decision. It's up to the players to get it right.
Yep. Speaking of that, watch out for the time-wasting 50s. There'll be more of them paid early in the season.
And
If a player,
yeah.
and I agree.
I
I like
like
it. I
that.
think most of the rules they've done are going to be better for the
I
game.
like so once again, don't bag the umpires.
Yep.
Don't, if you're in the crowd and you see a 50-metre penalty paid, don't bag the player, bag your player for throwing the ball on the
dummy.
ground or throwing it away or holding it in and not letting the player pick up the ball.
Yep. Hey, Damo, let's touch on it straight away because it's going to be an issue all year. But the Alistair Clarkson, the looming situation of Alistair Clarkson. What's the latest? Because this is going to go on all season until we know what he's going to do.
And it's unfortunate for Stuart Dew that is the case, isn't it? He's aware of this. And while in an ideal world, you wouldn't be speculating upon someone's career and professional tenure in that position before the season even starts, but that is what is going to happen. Alistair Clarkson will coach again. He's wired to coach again. He's not wired to be an ambassador for the Tassie team. He's not wired to be, selling other stuff. He's wired to be a competitive coach at the highest levels of AFL, and he will be in the 2023 system almost certainly. It does seem as though it's going to be Gold Coast, but I mean, that is the speculative part of it. But the name Alistair Clarkson, Joey, it will be mentioned on every single media outlet every single week this year until Alistair Clarkson reveals what it is he's going to be doing.
I think it's a boring topic.
Yeah, it might get boring. But
I feel for Stewie Dew.
Yeah, you
It's
do.
hard not to because he's doing his best job with a list that isn't ideal. But a lot of blokes have left and come back to Melbourne, and to be sitting there in that job and fronting up each week, and that's what he's going to be asked about as well when he's actually the coach. There's probably a fair bit of disrespect thrown up to him.
Stewie, worrying's like riding a rocking horse. Gives you something to do, but gets you nowhere.
Very good, Duck. I like that one. Hey, before we get in,
Last time he went down that path, he was talking about glass rocks and glass houses, and
And why
at least you got that one out, Duck.
and why the polar bears are in the Melbourne Zoo.
that's the wisdom. That's the wisdom.
Profound.
Did you like that one?
The wisdom we get from Duck. We'll try and get a few more of them. Hey, because it is the season hasn't started, we need to get the obligatory sort of predictions out of the way. Just quickly, we'll just fire them. Duck, who's the favourite to win the flag and who's the biggest threat?
Our favourite to win the flag, without a doubt, is the D's for me. I think something has to go terribly wrong for them not to go back to back. They're right in that zone. So they're the winners. Who they will play, I think they'll actually play the Bulldogs.
Dogs again?
Yeah, I think it'll be, and we've seen it, recent histories, we've seen Sydney, West Coast do it not all that long ago. What was that, 05, 06? I think we might be seeing it again.
I think we all agree, Daisy, about Melbourne. Who's the biggest threat?
I think Brisbane are the biggest threat. I think they underachieved last year and obviously going out to the Bulldogs up there by 1 point it was in the end, but I think they're in that similar sweet spot. Joe Danaher should have a huge year. They play enough games up at the Gabba. I think they're the big one.
I know you're Brisbane as well, Damo.
I am,
and so
Joey,
am I. And
yes.
so am I. So I
Yeah.
think we all
So
agree.
3 out of the 4.
Brisbane are cherry ripe to win it. Hey, just quickly though, who's the slider? Who have you got the sort of the knock on that you think might drop away from last season?
It's not a big slide.
Yep.
It's just a little slide.
Yep.
Just a little snake and ladders. It's. I think the Hawks will just drop. I think they finished off the year really, really well last year. I'm not sure they can sustain that. I think they probably have to take a step back to take a step forward. I think they finished 14th.
Probably not what I was thinking when I
Well,
heard
it's
this
not a-
question about
it's-
from 14th to
14th
17th.
15th.
Hang on, it could be 18th.
Yeah, okay.
Hang on,
That's probably
just-
where I wasn't going, but I get it, Duck. That's technically they're a slider.
Yeah.
I'll go with it.
Well,
Um,
exactly.
Damo, you got anyone sliding?
I've got, out of last year's finalists, I've got GWS and Essendon missing, but I like where Essendon is in the big picture. I can just see them having a little bit of a blip on the radar this year, potentially going back up next year.
I've got, before we get to yours, 'cause I think you're going to go with your unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll say
Ooh.
my little slider, I think the Western Bulldogs won't make the top 4. I just think there are 4 teams that I've got more faith in. I think they're a slider, but I know, and we'll get to the next one. We're going to do a little unpopular opinion. So something that no one else is saying. It's a bit left field. You're going to kick it off because it is going to be about the Bulldogs.
It is, yeah. I've got them missing the 8.
Missing the 8.
Missing the 8. I think they
So I've
overachieved
got
last
them
year.
in the granny, and you all got them sliding and missing the
I
8.
think
Yeah.
but Duck did have
That's-
West Coast making the granny last year too.
Actually, you did, Duck.
Oh, up until about round 18, you thought.
Round 23.
Do you reckon they can make it
I
this
said
year?
they could still win.
No, my unpopular opinion is that the Western Bulldogs won't make the top 8. I
Okay.
just, like you, I think they slide. I think they overachieved last year. Still have questions about the ruck and their back line. And I think there's going to be other teams that are in that sort of bracket of 4th to 14th that have got an easier draw and can jump up ahead of them.
Love it, Daisy. Damo, have you got an unpopular opinion?
It's probably not as unpopular as what Daisy just said, but I'm still big on the Cats. I've got them playing the Brisbane Lions in the grand final.
That was mine. I was going to say,
Was it?
we didn't confirm. Mine was going to be Geelong can win the flag. I
I
think
reckon they
Geelong
can.
can win the flag this year.
Yeah, Jeremy Cameron's fit, and if he stays fit, that just changes that whole dynamic.
Yep.
Well, I think Stewie Jew will be the coach the following year, 2023. And I know
That is unpopular,
everyone
yeah.
will be riding Clarko to get the job and whatever else, and he's under all sorts of pressure. I think Stewie Jew, and I think the Suns will go up the ladder.
Very good. Great start to the show. Hey, next bit we're going to come up with the duck dive coming up, and this is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Well, we've made an adjustment here. We've just decided pre-show. Dale Thomas, you were in such good form last year, particularly
Thank
with your, what was it, your crystal ball? Or your,
Yeah.
Something about an oracle or something.
Yeah, the oracle or
I'm not
whatever.
sure.
And he's had such a big off-season, too.
And he always chipped in anyway.
He did anyway. He chirped in when he should. It was
chipping
Duck
in.
segment. But now we're going to make it the Daisy Duck Dive. I want both of your opinions on these questions. You can be...
Duck's so flat.
No, Duck wants
Two
to share
daisies
it.
have got me.
So I'm just going to fire a question. You guys give your first answer, and then we'll go back and just discuss if there's anything. Damo, you keep an ear out. Anything that caught your ear with these answers, we'll chat. First question.
Okay.
Are we expecting a bit of spite in tonight's game between the Melbourne and Bulldogs? Can you see it sort of boiling over at any stage?
I would think so. I would like to see it. I really would. I think when you lose a grand final to a team, there's always that added fire in the belly. And I think the Bulldogs will bring it tonight. So there will be a little bit of fireworks, I would have thought.
I think it'll be that way as well. I think it'll be the Bulldogs at the Ds rather than the other way. When you win it, you don't sort of obviously hurt as much because you're not hurting from anything. You're smarting if everything. And with that little song and that little jab that they had after the game, there is a bit on the line.
Yep.
Good. Does Buddy Franklin kick his 1,000th this week? He needs 5 against the GWS Giants.
Not for me. It'll be the week after.
I'm going to go with yes.
You think he can kick 5?
I think he'll kick
On
5.
Sam Taylor?
And Sam Taylor.
The
and
showman in him
Davis.
comes out, yeah?
Yeah. Round 1, of course.
It's a home game for the Swans the following week. I think deep down would like him to do it as a home game.
You're always thinking dollars, aren't you?
Well, the clubs do. The clubs do.
You think Horse will bring him off?
But he's kicked 4 in the
He's
first
kicked 4
quarter.
If
and
they're
just
6
sits
up,
on the
if
bench.
they're 6 up and he's kicked 4 at the 20 mark of the last quarter, he's off.
Duck, first to you. Is the West Coast Eagles season over before it even starts?
Oh,
Good question.
well, you knew how I thought about the Eagles
Yeah,
last
they've still
year.
got the talent.
They've still got the
Most
talent.
of them aren't.
They've
Most
still
of them
got-
aren't playing,
They've
though.
still got the talent to win it, Joey. No, it's not. It's round 1. So long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
Season's
done.
over.
Yep. You can't win a flag in the preseason, but you can lose one. And I think that's what's unfortunately happened. Too many injuries. COVID's hit them now. Jack Darling hasn't trained. He might be the smartest bloke ever, though. I wish COVID was around when I would have done that in the preseason too. I'm not getting a jab and then rock up for round 1.
I'm not sure. If you saw photos of him, he wasn't taking it easy. He was
Yeah.
in pretty good
Fit.
nick.
Yeah.
Is this the year that Carlton can finally beat Richmond in a season opener?
Yes.
You think they're a big chance?
Yeah, they're a massive chance. And look, if to be honest, I've said that Carlton will make the 8. I think the last 2 seasons in a row. I think they can again this year, and I think tomorrow night is a massive confidence booster for them. If they can get over the Tigers, I think that sets their season up. I know it's only one round, like I said before, but it's huge for them.
Agree. I think they will beat the Tigers. I think they're going better than Richmond are at this time of year. I think Richmond will be a big improver on what they did last year, and that'll be later in the season. But I think the Blues are cherry ripe.
Yeah, I do too. Do you think make it 4 from 4? Do you think Carlton can win this one?
I think they will make finals, but I think they will lose tomorrow night.
You'll lose. Just a quick one on the psyche of Carlton. I mean, you played in a few of these season openers. Was there deep down a level that you didn't quite believe you could beat Richmond because they were so good? Do you think this group have more belief than maybe the Carlton of the previous few years?
No, I think, well, especially in my time, I was huge on making sure by round 1 that was the benchmark and there was never a better time to get a scalp, against the Premiers who might have been taking it a touch easy. Turns out they didn't because they've won the last 8. But trying to get that psyche of this is a chance to get a scalp and set yourself up. I just think now they actually believe. They beat Melbourne the other day in the Amy Community Series. I know it's only pre-season, but that first half of footy was sharp. They were deadly serious. They were dogged. I think this is their year. And completely honest. If it's not, with all the talk, if it's finals or bust, it literally is. Where to from here? So they have to start well. Their first 8 rounds are the softest part of their draw. They need to be 5-3, 6-2.
If you're ever going to believe, I reckon it's after you've done a really good preseason and you go into round 1 as a player, and whether you've been a star or you're just an up-and-comer or sit in the middle, you actually think this is my year. You really go in, don't you?
Yeah.
I think everyone does. And if you're not thinking like that,
You're in
then
trouble
you're in
before the
trouble.
season starts, yeah. And I think, Damo, I would love to see Carlton get off to a good start. I think when you see the Carlton fans come out, like we haven't seen it for a long, long time. I remember it might have been a game you played in the Bulldogs when you came back against the Bulldogs and Charlie Curnow kicked 7. I was at that game live, and I remember thinking, if this is what the Carlton fans are capable of doing, it will be awesome to see them back up there. I would love to see Carlton fans come out of the woodwork.
And unfortunately, the week later, Charlie went down with the knee and basically has not been seen properly since.
Last one, the Daisy Duck Dive. I've liked this one. Other than Stewie Dew, because we've spoken a lot about him and Clarko, which other coach do you think will be under the most pressure this season?
Oh,
I know it's a bit hard because I haven't given you much
yeah,
thought, but there's...
I don't like putting coaches under pressure. It's one of my pet hates.
Yep.
But I honestly think that with their list, Port Adelaide, I think Ken Hinkley, and I know he's re-signed, and I don't want to put him under the pump, but I think Hinkley and probably Ratton at St Kilda, mainly because of where St Kilda think they should be, and I think with Port Adelaide because they don't rate what they've done the last couple of years as success. I do. I think if you get that far, it takes a little bit of luck to win grand finals and get through to a grand final. He's done that, but for whatever reason, they just expect to win.
It's a high benchmark. Like even if they lose a prelim again, there's probably a bit of fallout, isn't there? Like which is stiff because you're making a prelim. But maybe you're
for
right.
what it's worth, I don't think it should be.
No, I agree.
But I think it will.
The manner of the last year's preliminary final loss is a problem. The previous year, fine. They just lost to the brilliant Richmond and did all they could but win the game of footy. But last year against the Bulldogs on the biggest stage for them that year, Duck, they were lamentably short.
I think Leon Cameron. I think if the Giants don't make finals, he's
won finals in 5 seasons.
He's been there for how many?
Hang on. With the injuries they've had and the players they've lost, I think arguably Leon Cameron has been the best coach of the last 8 years, 7 years.
5 seasons, they've won finals under his watch.
Yep. And how's the trophy cabinet going up there?
Made a grand final.
Like 17 other clubs, it's pretty bare.
Yeah, correct.
You can only win one.
Where would you say their talent?
But where is it from here though? Like they've been absolutely leveraged and stepped up to win a flag, and they haven't done it.
For one, they lose talent every year rather than gain it. I know they've got a few more in the last couple of years, but this is a team that I think that the expectation on them over a period of time has been huge. And I think given the personnel that they've had to get where they've got to the last couple, I think it's been a remarkable coaching effort.
That's why we love it. It's the Daisy Duck Dive, and it's going to stick for season 2022. Now we're going to take a look at the games to kick off round 1, of course, tonight. The Wednesday night, Melbourne v. the Western Bulldogs. Is anyone tipping the Bulldogs in this, or we all think Melbourne will get off to the start?
I've tipped
The latter.
Yep. We're all Melbourne?
Melbourne by plenty.
Yeah, I think Melbourne.
Plenty.
Melbourne should win
4 or 5
comfortably.
goals.
Yep. Carlton Richmond tomorrow night. Damo, we all think Carlton are a chance.
Yep.
What's your take?
I'm tipping Richmond for what it's worth, Joey. I'm tipping Carlton to make finals, but I really like Richmond's chances to come back. I mean, they got a good season out of Dusty Martin before he then missed the last 6 games with that really serious injury. I reckon they got the recruit of the year before they even play a game, that being Robbie Tarrant. I know he's old in that footy sense, but he is going to make such a difference down there with Grimes in the back line. And there's just, I think, a feeling that they can add one more to this already historically great era. And that's the way they're prepared themselves for the 2022 season. I can't see why they don't finish high on the ladder to give themselves a chance.
Blues for me.
The Blues, you're tipping them to win.
I also, Blues for me.
Yeah, I think Richmond will bounce back this year. They've still got a lot of upside. You think about players like Baker and Bolter and Shea Bolton and Jack Graham and Brioli at halfback, and there's still upside. So I think they'll be thereabouts at the end of the year. Friday night, St Kilda v Collingwood. Daisy, St Kilda should win this. They should. If they don't, is there already going to be a bit of heat on St Kilda? Because for me, they are a club that need a bit of confidence and momentum, and they need to get off to a start. Otherwise, it could be a little bit messy. So this is the one they have to win.
This is the beauty of this year, I reckon. From 5th to 15th, all these sides are playing literally for the 4 spots. So St Kilda and Collingwood, I don't think anyone really gives Collingwood a chance of improving that much on what they did last year. St Kilda should win. deserve to be favourites in this one, but they have to go out and deliver. I think they will, but if Collingwood get them, questions are asked at round one. That's exciting.
Saints are missing a few players. Zach Jones, Billings, Hunter Clark, no Paddy Ryder.
Saints for me.
Should win. Saints, yep. I just want to quickly ask, Geelong Essendon, huge game Saturday. That's going to be a cracker. Before we get your tip, who do you think will finish higher? Because Damo and I are big on Geelong. Do you think Geelong or Essendon will finish higher in the ladder?
Geelong.
Yep, you still
Which
think
is
Geelong?
why I'm tipping Geelong in this one.
You still think Geelong have a chance, Daisy, this season?
No, I don't. I'm just looking at my notes here, and I don't have them in my 8
You've
either.
left them out of your
I've
8,
left
the
them
Cats.
out of
Hang on, you left the Bulldogs and the Cats out. I like it.
Yeah, so no, I think this is going to be a cracker, and I think Essendon should be pretty bullish of their opportunity. I think for the first time, the Geelong midfield will be stretched. So it's always been so reliable, Selwood, Dangerfield. I'm just not sure if the next crop has come through. You think of similarities between Port Adelaide, Butters, Rozier go straight in there. Who have Geelong got? Narkle, yes, maybe, but more one-way running.
Half it.
Yes. Again, though, like, is he to that level to replace them, and they won't be doing as much?
Guthrie.
I think Essendon got Merritt, Parrish through there, Langford, Caldwell, they're recruited.
Stringer
Cox
at
on the
times.
wings, Devon Smith. I just think they should be pretty bullish of their opportunity.
I'm interested to see Geelong's game style. I want to see if there's been a change.
It's going to change.
so do I.
Do they go forward more, kick longer?
That's
I
what
think
I'm
the
looking
contest-
forward to. And as good as Tom Hawkins has been, if they play like that, he will get even better.
Yep.
As will Jeremy Cameron.
GWS Sydney. I can't split this one. I've got no idea who's going to win out of the Giants Sydney. I'm not as bullish on Giants. I've got them out of my 8 as well, but their pre-season form is actually being very good. So I've got no idea who can win out of the Giants and the Swans.
I'll tip the Swans just because Toby Green's not playing.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think I did the same.
And that's my logic on tipping the Swans.
Yeah, because of without Toby.
And just the last one we'll touch on, West Coast and the Gold Coast. It's in Perth. It's the Sunday twilight game. We know West Coast at the moment have got 25 players to pick from. Does anyone think they can win?
Yep.
You still do?
Gold Coast.
No, West Coast.
No, I thought.
Forgot to listen.
I heard Coast.
Didn't know if it was
And
Gold or
I
West.
didn't know Gold or West.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
thought,
tipping,
can West Coast still win with 25 players
no,
to pick from?
I don't. Well, I've tipped Gold Coast. I think I tipped Gold Coast by a point or 2 points. So it's going to be close, but I think they'll win.
Same.
Yeah.
Gold Coast.
If the Gold Coast don't beat West Coast, does that, or if West Coast win, whichever way I need to put that, is there even then more pressure on Stewie Jew? This is their time to get off to a good start. West Coast, no one gives them a chance. Hardly
the
a team to
bookmakers
pick.
still do. They're actually favourites.
No, not anymore.
They-
Gold
That's
Coast.
changed the
Gold
last
Co-
24 hours.
Gold
then.
Coast, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Gold Coast are favourites. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Hey, great start. to the
Daisy's
show.
unloaded.
Looking forward to a big year, of course.
Responsibly.
Don't forget you can listen to every game on Triple M this round on the listener app, starting with tonight's grand final replay. I'll be there with Duck. Luke Darcy's calling with Brownie. Abby Holmes on the boundary. Hope you've enjoyed the show. This is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub.
The Footy's on Triple